Well, I'm super excited to be speaking with you today. A little bit about myself. My name is
Mm,
Sophia. I'm a software engineer. I work full time in finance
mm,
and I create content on the side, kind of just trying to lower the barrier of entry into tech.
mm.
And I'm always super interested in folks' background. So I'm really curious to know kind of how you got started in tech and why computer science and all that good stuff.
I kind of took a very circuitous path. I basically tried every other major possible. I'll try this computer science thing. And, I until I did that as my major, I didn't really program or write code outside of it. I just had like the intro to engineering programming course. But what got me hooked was just how fast you can go from idea to creating something. I mean, it's magical. Like in an afternoon, you can build something. Very few industries you can do that. You don't need to have a whole bunch of money or a whole bunch of expertise. You can just go read the internet, watch YouTube videos, and build something in an afternoon. So that's kind of what got me hooked, and that's how I ended up there. And yeah, I think I was probably 20 years old before I said, I'm locked and loaded to computer science and go in this direction.
Very interesting. And so I actually started as a biomedical engineer, and I realized very quickly that I didn't like chemistry
Yeah, yeah,
either.
yeah.
And then I pivoted into computer science and kind of the practicality of, like you just mentioned, being able to that process of idea to creating something is something that I think a lot of software engineers and programmers kind of get hooked on
Yeah.
because I mean, the coding aspect might be a little bit of a love-hate situation,
Yep.
but when you finally have the final product, it kind of makes it all worth it.
Yep.
And so in terms of like low code technologies, right? And
Mhm.
like power apps and kind of all of that, how did you get interested or how did you pivot into that world?
Yeah. So one of the things that like kind of I talk about this all the time with folks I mentor and talk to is like you should figure out what motivates you. Like why do you want to work? Why do you want to go? Like why do you wake up in the morning, log into the computer, and spend a bunch of time at work? And for me, I always was super excited with this idea of empowering anyone to participate in the developer economy and developer opportunity. Low code, so that changes all that. No matter where you are, you don't got to go to school for computer science. You just got to have a hunger and appetite to learn and combine that with some business expertise, and you can create amazing solutions.
So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm super curious when you entered into like this power platform, low code world, what was already in the market? Like what existed and what did you take? What did you say? This is something that we need to add.
Mhm.
And how did we get to where we are now?
Yeah. Like low code is really interesting because like it's this idea that has kind of existed for a while. And I remember I used to say, it's in Microsoft's DNA, go all the way back to Visual Basic before my time, or Excel, or Access databases, or there's kind of been this low code approach. And Power Platform, the big thing that we did, which was different, was number one, we involve IT in the low code revolution. You say this is about enabling the next version, the next generation of end user computing is for you to govern and secure low code. So make IT not someone who's an adversary, but a supporter and an enabler. So that was a big shift. And the other thing is we said, you know what? Low code isn't just for little spreadsheets or developers. Low code is for everybody. From left to right, the most simple to the most sophisticated can all be built on one low code platform. And that idea of Power Platform scaling from simple app to sophisticated app, that when we first started talking about that story, it was something heretical. A lot of people disagreed. So, that can never be one product. That can never be one platform. And I think we were convicted in it then, convicted in it now, and we can see it. 33 million monthly active users on Power Platform. 25% of them are devs. 75% are in the business.
Very cool. So I know that you've spoken about this power platform being additive. Like we're not replacing developers, but with the rapid growth of AI, everyone's like, AI is going to take my job and like, I'm not going to, have anywhere to work. Can you speak a little bit more to how it's more of an addition versus a subtraction?
Yep. If you look at the history of technology, it's always about things going faster and things being more accessible. If you go to mainframes, something that only universities and large companies had, to everybody having a personal computer on their desk at home and at their office, to now everybody having a personal computer in their pocket with their phone. That's just a constant march, going from databases to spreadsheets to all the amazing cloud tools that are out there. That is what we're seeing for co-pilots and AIs as well as with low code. So that's just what's always going to happen. And whenever that's happened over the last 40 years, developer jobs weren't destroyed. there is only more demand for developers. So I think computing becoming more accessible and more relatable and in more places will make it so there'll only be more and more demand for developers. And like I would say, if you were to ask me, I am quite bullish and very long-term view in the role of developers. It may look a little bit different, right? You have low code, drag and drop, you'll have co-pilots. It'll look different, but you still need that analytical mind. So you know how to build a solution that works. And there's no shortage of apps and workflows, automations to get built.
Very cool. Speaking about like the next generation of developers and like the next set of tools that we'll be using, where do you see Power Platform going in like the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What do you think it'll look like?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably two really interesting things that are happening. The first we're in the middle of right now, and it's around this co-pilot idea. So I would say the way we will build solutions will be drag and drop like in Power Platform always, but also natural language and human language. I'll be able to describe what I want an app to look like. I can say something like, make this website look like Airbnb, and AI will make that happen. Similarly, I could say, here's an image of a screen that I sketched out. Can you make my app screen look more like this? And AI will do that too. So that idea of being able to interface with the computer in a way very similar how we interface with other humans, it's going to be super empowering and accelerating. So that's kind of item number one. And you see, like I say, Build 2023 has been all about the co-pilot. The second thing is, and this is something which I think we're still getting our arms around, and to me is probably the most exciting aspect of AI revolution, is the way control flow and the assembly of programs. Today, it's done by a programmer saying, if this, do that, if this, do that. While this is true, keep doing that, programming control flow. That's probably not how we're going to describe programming in the future. We'll instead describe intent and direction and rules, and AI will self-assemble the workflow and the control flow in response.
I know that a lot of the time, or there might be a misconception for low-code technologies that since you're just dragging and dropping, or you're like taking a picture of something and creating something, that you might not get a powerful service or like a powerful application. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more about like what the tech stack looks behind the scenes of what's powering all of this great, amazing stuff?
Yeah. Power Platform is built on top of Azure. It's a hyperscale, elastic cloud architecture from day one. Power Apps shipped in Azure. So, it never had to be built to run in the data center. So it takes advantage of things like Azure Cosmos DB and Azure Storage and hyperscale Azure SQL. So you can store petabytes of data and making 10,000 requests per second all in one app. So we take care of all of that. There's not really a bottleneck you'll see. And above all else, we always have an escape hatch too. So if it doesn't do exactly what you want, exactly the way you want it to, you can write JavaScript, you can write C#, you can write Python. So and kind of that vision of from the simple to the sophisticated on one platform, that's the only way you can do it. No code and AI, low code, pro code, all on one tech code.
I love that. So you've also been kind of at the forefront of this low code revolution. Mm-hmm. What do you do when you are faced with a problem that you're just stuck, right? Like, how do you get unstuck as quickly as possible so that you're still efficient? And do you get scared or like nervous when you're in those spaces?
Yep. The times where you feel stuck and uncomfortable with a challenge are probably the most exciting points in your career, because that means you're actually doing unsolved science, unsolved engineering, unsolved product development. And if there is no easy answer you can find looking at the internet, guess what? That means you're inventing it, So I mean, that is galvanizing and exciting, that helps bring me back and get the energy to go push through it. So that's kind of one element. Second thing for me is like, I primarily do product development, engineering, that type of thing these days. And the best way for me to get unstuck is always talk to customers. So I try to talk to, I said, customer a day keeps the doctor away. So if I can go talk to a customer, I can test out ideas. What if we could do this? What if we did that? And the perspectives you can hear from someone who's in the healthcare field, someone in the financial services field, someone in manufacturing or agriculture, it always just nudges you closer and closer to the solution.
So since your customers are in a variety of different industries, how do you create a product that is able to serve every single, every customer's different needs?
Yep. Yeah, and I would say like this is the Microsoft thing. Like if you were to say, what is the most unique DNA aspect of Microsoft as an enterprise software company? It's the fact that we can build software that anybody can use. I mean, Windows, billion users, Office, billion users. There are very few commercial workplace software companies with that type of reach. Most are either industry focused or role focused, for the finance department or the sales department, but not all departments. So the one thing is we have a great culture at Microsoft of going out and exploring and listening and being curious, because if you only worked in the tech industry and you only think about tech industry, you can only build software for the tech industry. So getting that exposure to all those different environments is super key. And also making sure you have that platform mindset. So Microsoft's always been a platform company. So we build in a way where others can build on top of us. And that means we build what every industry needs or every role or discipline or job type needs. And then we have partners and developers who build on top of that platform to customize it exactly for those use cases. And kind of that combination, building for everybody, building in a way which is extensible, is how we've been able to create platforms that have stood the test of time. And I think that is just, if people are at what's Microsoft, it's that.
Feel that. What's something that you've built using low code that you're very, very proud of? And then a part 2 to that is, what feature do you think is kind of underutilized that should probably be used a little bit more by everybody else?
Yeah. So I'll actually put them together, because I think an underappreciated capability of Power Platform is Power Automate Desktop.
Okay.
So that's like the robotic process automation tool. So basically you can record macros, clicks, and keyboard inputs on a Windows device, and it's included for free with Windows for personal use. And so what that allows you to do is, say there's like a website or an app, which, every day or every week you have to log in and get data out, copy paste, that type of thing. So I've used Power Automate Desktop because a lot of my job is going and looking at different reports and pulling data together, is use Power Automate Desktop to go out and pull down all the different pieces of data and then give me a nice little quick view. So it's a Power Automate Desktop and just that simple UI automation. I mean, we have way more complex stuff that we demo with customers, but for me, that brings me the most joy.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It was really great speaking with you.